Hello and welcome to Lesson 7, pages 58 and 59. This is the song titled Little Mice in our Level 1 book. And we've got lots of things to review in our song today. This is going to be using the grand staff, which means we'll use both hands. And we are actually going to be using a new note for the staff, E flat. And we see the flat symbol showing up on our staff music for the first time. So before we hop into our notes, let's talk about the symbols on the staff for a review, and then we'll figure out where we're going to place our hands for this music. So we're using the grand staff, which means it has two clefs. Remember, our top clef is the treble clef and means to use our right hand. And the bottom clef here is our bass clef, which means to use our left hand for the bass clef. Okay, so we have our treble clef and our bass clef. Up next, we have our time signature. And remember, the top number of our time signature tells us how many beats are in a measure, so there needs to be 4. And the bottom number tells us what type of note equals 1 beat. A 4 means a walk note. So there needs to be 4 walk notes in each measure, or something that's equal to 4 walk notes to make it a measure. And remember, these lines that are here are called bar lines. 2 bar lines makes 1 measure. That's what these numbers are. They're measure numbers. And really, they're just helpful for knowing where you are in the song. Or I might say to you, hey, students, go to measure 7. And then you'll just find the number 7, and you'll say, oh, we must be right here. So that's why the measure numbers are there. They're very useful. All right, now let's talk about the notes in our song. So in Little Mice, it actually shows us on the second page here. We're using middle C, D, and E flat. So remember, middle C is under our group of 2 black keys, and it's the first white key. Let's look at our pianos. Here's my group of 2 black keys. There's my first white key, C or middle C. Right next to C, we have D. And then we're using E flat. Remember, a flat symbol makes a note go down. And we have a fun trick to remember that at Piano Lab. It goes down like a flat tire. You can remember that flat tire that's running out of air. Well, guess what? The flat symbol that we have right here, it makes notes go down. And down on the piano is to the left, like this, like if we're going down with our notes, okay? So E becomes E flat. Here's E flat right here. E flat is the second black key in our group of 2. So here's the notes we have for our song. C, or middle C, D, and E flat. Remember, it has to be this specific E flat because of where we are on the staff. Now, something important to remember is that the flat symbol and the note are E flat. I actually had a really interesting student question once, and because it was their first time ever looking at the staff, and they asked me, wait, is this E flat, and then is this note right next to it E? They were thinking maybe they had to play like E flat E, something like this, which is a really interesting question and way of looking at it. Remember though, E flat means we're playing the entire note that's here, so this means E flat. With the whole symbol. They're like combined, okay? I just didn't want there to be any confusion, and I loved that question, so I always remember to bring it up on this song. Okay, now let's talk about how to read this song from left to right, because we are doing the grand staff, and we're going to talk about which notes are in which fingers. So E flat and D are really close to our treble clef, or they're up on the treble staff, so that means we're going to use our right hand. And middle C, what do you think? Is it lower or higher? It's lower on this one, which means we're going to be using it with the left hand because it's in the bass staff. So that's going to be true for this whole song. C is going to be used with the left hand, and D and E flat with the right hand. A really common fingering we like to use for this song is 1 left hand finger on C, and then 2 fingers on D and E flat. Remember not to try and cross your hands or anything strange. We don't want to put our fingers like this on the piano. Remember, I can put 1 finger here, and then I just reach my other finger out to play E flat. So it's like D and E flat. I'm like kind of reaching up. I don't have my hand to the side or trying to cross my fingers. First finger, like a number 1, goes on D. The second one goes on E flat. Okay, that's the fingering I would use for this song. If you want to use a 5-finger pattern that we're talking about in our other music, you could use your both thumbs on C and D, and then E flat right here with your second finger. Okay, and there was a little example of the first measure. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we're going to read the music from left to right. We play E flat, then D, D, C, D. And that is walk, running, walk, walk. Let's try and clap the first two measures together to make sure that we're hearing and reading the rhythms correctly. So eyes on the music. 1, 2, first line clap, and walk, running, walk, walk. Measure 2, walk, running, walk, walk. Excellent. Now we're going to try and play it. I'll give you a quick example since this is so new. We have E flat, D, D, C, D, E flat, D, D, C, D. Now let's try that nice and slow together. 1, 2, first line play, play. E flat, D, D, C, D. Measure 2, E flat, D, D, C, D. Excellent work. Moving on to line number 2. Wow, lots of running notes and lots of flat symbols that we're seeing here. Let's count together the E flats that are in measure 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 total E flats, and it's 2 running notes. Running, running, or 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have a C and a D that we're playing together for 2 beats, which is our half note. So altogether, measure 3 sounds like this. Running, running together for 2. And measure 4 does the same thing. Running, running together for 2. Let's try that nice and slow together. 1, 2, here we go. And running, running together for 2, and running, running together for 2, and off. Great job. Now, the first line of the second page is actually the same exact thing that we played in line number 1 on the first page. So let's go ahead and play it just for the extra practice. Our E flat, D, D, C, D, twice in a row. Measures 5 and 6 we're on now. 1, 2, here we go. Play E flat, D, D, C, D, E flat, D, D, C, D. Great work. And now we're on the last line of Little Mice. We have how many running notes in a row? Let's count these 2. There's 1 running note, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 running notes in a row before we play C, C, C for 2 in measure 8. So we're going to play 4 E flats, 4 Ds, and then we play our Cs at the end of the song. Let's see if we can try that on our pianos together. Measures 7 and 8. 1, 2, here we go. And running, 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 walk, Great work. And now let's go back to the beginning of our song. We'll try our first full performance. And it says softly here at the beginning, probably just playing like soft little mice running around. That's up to you if you want to try to play softly. To play softly on your piano, you just press the keys not quite as hard. I don't think I'm going to do that just to make sure you can hear my piano okay. But if you want to try to play it a little softer and your piano responds that way, if you have an acoustic piano or a keyboard that does that, go for it, okay, as an extra challenge. Okay, let's try Little Mice. 1, 2, here we go. Play E flat, D, D, C, D, E flat, D, D, C, D, line 2, running, running, hold for 2, measure 4, running, running, hold for 2, E flat, D, D, C, D, E flat, D, D, C, D, last line, running, running, D, 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 C, 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 for 2, and off. Congratulations on completing the song Little Mice, and I will see you on the next song.